I remember the day as if it were yesterday. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, a beautiful backdrop to what I thought would be the happiest news of my life. My name is Laura, and back then, I was living a life that was about to take an unexpected turn. I used to dream of the stage, the lights, the applause. My days were filled with rehearsals and performances with my local drama club. But all that changed when I met Michael. He was charming, successful, and, as I later found out, controlling. He made it clear, if I wanted a life with him, my acting dreams had to go. Torn between love and passion, I chose him. Fast forward 10 years, our marriage had its ups and downs, but nothing prepared me for that evening. I stood in our kitchen, a pregnancy test hidden in my pocket, a positive result that I couldn't wait to share. I had even bought a small chocolate cake, our favorite, to celebrate the news. But Michael walked in with a tired look and something far more life-altering than my news: divorce papers. He didn't even wait for me to speak. "I want a divorce, Laura," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. I was stunned, the words echoing in my head. "What? Why now?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. "It's not sudden, Laura. I've been thinking about this for a long time," he replied, avoiding my gaze. I felt my world crumbling. "But why? Is there someone else?" The question burned in my throat. Let's get divorced," he said, refusing to answer. The joy of my pregnancy evaporated in that instant, leaving me with a heartache so profound that I couldn't even speak of the baby. I just stood there, holding back tears, as he walked away, leaving me with nothing but the unsigned divorce papers and a shattered heart. That was the last thing Michael said to me, not knowing about the child growing inside me. I ended up single again, but this time with a life growing inside me. And maybe, just maybe, it was this unborn child that gave me the strength to endure what was to come. The following years were a blur of sleepless nights and tireless days. Being a single mother was hard, but Emily, my little angel, made every struggle worth it. She had her father's eyes, but thankfully nothing else of him. She was my joy, my miracle. Then, 5 years later, life decided to throw me another curveball. I was at the local supermarket, Emily in tow, when I saw him, Michael. He looked different, disheveled, like life hadn't been kind to him. He was with a young woman, probably in her late 20s, clinging to his arm. The sight of them together twisted something inside me. "Hey, long time no see," he said, a smirk on his face. I forced a smile. "Michael, you've changed." "Yeah, life happens. Who's this?" he asked, nodding at Emily. "My daughter, Emily," I replied, my voice steady. He looked at Emily, then back at me, a puzzled expression crossing his face. "Your daughter? When?" "After our divorce," I said simply. The young woman laughed mockingly. "Oh, the ex-wife. So this is the kid?" Emily looked up at me, her big eyes filled with questions. I squeezed her hand, a silent promise that I'd protect her from the pain I once felt. Michael just shrugged, his attention already back on his companion. "Let's go, Karen. We don't have all day." As they walked away, I looked down at Emily, her innocent face a stark contrast to the ugliness we had just encountered. In that moment, I knew that no matter what, I would never let Michael hurt her, as he had hurt me. Life after Michael was a series of challenges and triumphs. I raised Emily, my little star, on my own. Each day brought new adventures, and each night when I tucked her into bed, I felt a sense of accomplishment that no acting role could ever give me. One day when Emily was 6, she came home from school, her face lit up with excitement. "Mommy, my teacher says I'm good at acting. She wants me to be in the school play." Hearing those words, I felt a mix of pride and a pang of my long-buried dreams. "That's wonderful, honey," I said, hugging her tight. "You'll be amazing." As Emily's interest in acting grew, so did her talent. She was a natural, reminding me of my own youthful aspirations. I couldn't help but feel a sense of irony. The child I had with the man who made me give up acting was now following in my footsteps. Life had a strange way of coming full circle. One autumn afternoon, as Emily and I walked home from her drama class, we ran into Michael again. He was alone this time, looking even more worn out than before. "Laura, Emily, fancy seeing you here," he said, his voice lacking the confidence it once had. "What do you want, Michael?" I asked, my tone cold. "Just saying hello. Is that a crime?" he replied, a defensive edge to his voice. Emily hid behind me, peeking out curiously. Michael's gaze fell on her, and for a moment, his facade cracked, revealing a hint of regret. "You never told me about her," he said softly. "There was nothing to tell. You made your choice," I responded, the bitterness in my voice unmistakable. Michael's eyes hardened. "I guess I did, but seeing her now, she's mine too, isn't she?" I felt a surge of protectiveness. "She's my daughter. You lost any claim to her when you walked out on us." He scoffed. "I see you're still bitter. But remember, Laura, blood is thicker than water." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving a chilling promise hanging in the air. I hugged Emily closer, a sense of foreboding settling in my heart. That night, as I watched Emily sleep, I promised myself I would do whatever it took to keep her safe from Michael's toxic influence. He had already taken my dreams. I wouldn't let him take my daughter's future too. The encounter with Michael lingered in my mind like a bad aftertaste. But life had to go on. Emily's play was approaching, and she was the star. The night of the performance, the school auditorium buzzed with excitement. I sat in the front row, my heart swelling with pride as Emily took the stage. She was a natural, her performance flawless, her joy infectious. After the play, as we were leaving, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Turning around, I was met with the last person I wanted to see, Michael. "Great show," he said, his voice laced with something I couldn't quite place. "What are you doing here, Michael?" I asked, my tone icy. "I wanted to see my daughter perform. She's got talent, just like her mother," he replied, a smirk on his face. I bristled at his words. "Emily is nothing like me. She's her own person." He leaned in closer, his breath reeking of arrogance. "Come on, Laura, we both know she got that talent from you, and now it's my turn to be part of her life." His words sent a chill down my spine. "You gave up that right a long time ago." Michael laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "Rights can be reclaimed, Laura, especially when it comes to family." Just then, Emily ran up to us, her face glowing. "Mommy, did you see me? I was a princess." I smiled at her, pushing my fear aside. "You were wonderful, sweetie." Michael crouched down to her level. "You were amazing, Emily. Daddy's very proud of you." Emily looked at him, confusion etched on her face. "Daddy?" I quickly intervened. "Emily, this is Michael. We used to know each other." Michael stood up, his eyes locking with mine. "We'll see each other again, Laura. This isn't over." As he walked away, I hugged Emily tightly, a sense of dread washing over me. Michael's words echoed in my head, a warning of the storm that was about to hit our lives. I had fought hard to build a peaceful life for Emily and me. I wasn't about to let Michael destroy it. But deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. In the weeks that followed, Emily's star continued to rise. Her performance at the school play had caught the attention of a local talent agent who offered her small roles in commercials and local TV shows. Emily was thrilled, and so was I, albeit cautiously. My past encounters with Michael had left a lingering shadow over our newfound happiness. Then one day, as we were leaving a studio after a successful audition, I saw him again. Michael stood there, leaning against his car, a smug look on his face. "Laura, I must say, Emily is quite the little star," he said, his eyes gleaming with something akin to greed. I felt a knot form in my stomach. "What do you want, Michael?" He stepped forward, his voice dripping with false sincerity. "I've been thinking. Emily needs her father now more than ever. Fame can be tough on a kid." I scoffed. "You're hardly father material, Michael. You can't just waltz back into her life because she's on TV now." He smirked. "But I am her father, Laura, and it seems to me that her success could be lucrative." The implication of his words hit me like a slap. "You're unbelievable. You want to profit from your own daughter?" Michael shrugged nonchalantly. "I'm just saying, as her father, I should have a say in her career, and perhaps a share of her earnings." I stepped closer, anger surging through me. "Listen to me, Michael. You are not going to use Emily. She's not your ticket to easy money." His expression hardened. "We'll see about that, Laura. I have rights, and I intend to use them." As he drove away, I felt a cold fear settle in my heart. Michael was serious, and I knew he wouldn't stop at anything to get what he wanted. I had to protect Emily, not just as her mother, but also from the man who claimed to be her father. A man who saw his own daughter as nothing more than a means to an end. The threat Michael posed became all too real in the following days. I received a letter from a law firm, cold and formal, stating Michael's intention to claim parental rights and a portion of Emily's earnings. My hands trembled as I read it. The audacity of the man I once loved now seeking to exploit our daughter was chilling. I immediately sought legal counsel. The lawyer, a stern yet kind-hearted woman named Miss Thompson, listened to my story with a furrowed brow. "Don't worry, Laura. We'll fight this. He may be her biological father, but his intentions are clear. It's about money, not Emily's well-being." The day of the court hearing arrived. I sat there, clutching Emily's hand, as Michael and his lawyer presented their case. He spoke of his rights as a father, his voice oozing in sincerity. "I only want what's best for my daughter," Michael proclaimed, shooting a glance at Emily, who shrank back in her seat. When it was our turn, Miss Thompson was formidable. "Your Honor, Mr. Michael here showed no interest in Emily until he learned of her budding career. His intentions are not parental care, but financial gain." The judge looked over at Michael, skepticism in his eyes. "Mr. Michael, what have you done to build a relationship with Emily since your divorce?" Michael stuttered. "Well, I've been busy, but I always cared." "Your Honor, he's lying," I blurted out, unable to contain myself. "He never cared until now." The judge nodded slowly, making notes. After a tense hour, he delivered his judgment. Michael's petition was denied. The relief that washed over me was indescribable, but as we left the courthouse, Michael's eyes met mine, burning with fury and defeat. "You'll pay for this, Laura," he hissed under his breath. I tightened my grip on Emily's hand, whispering to her that everything would be okay. But as we walked away, I knew this wasn't over. Michael's revenge would come in another form, and I needed to be ready. My only goal was to protect Emily, whatever the cost. In the wake of the court decision, a deceptive calm settled over our lives. Emily's career continued to flourish, and for a moment it seemed like we could finally move past Michael's shadow. But that peace was shattered one ordinary Tuesday afternoon. I was running late from work, and Emily was at a photo shoot with her manager, Molly. As I hurried towards the studio, my phone rang. It was Molly, her voice laced with panic. "Laura, it's Emily. She's gone." My heart stopped. "What do you mean, gone?" "Michael, he took her." I only looked away for a second, and Molly's voice broke. Rage and fear gripped me. "I'm on my way." I arrived at the studio to find police cars and a crowd of onlookers. Molly was in tears. "I'm so sorry, Laura. I tried to stop him, but he pushed me away." The police took our statements, and I described Michael with a cold fury I didn't recognize in myself. As the reality of the situation sank in, my fear for Emily turned into something fiercer. I wouldn't let Michael harm our daughter. The next hours were a blur of police questions, flashing lights, and the growing pit of fear in my stomach. I posted on social media, pleading for any information on Emily's whereabouts. The response was overwhelming. Emily's fans mobilized, sharing the post, offering help, and providing leads. Then a breakthrough came. Karen, Michael's girlfriend, reached out. She had seen my post and, in a turn of conscience, provided Michael's location. Armed with this information, the police moved swiftly. They found Michael in a rundown motel, Emily unharmed but scared. As they arrested Michael, I held Emily tight, promising her that she was safe now, that I would never let anything like this happen again. The aftermath was a whirlwind of media attention. Michael was charged with kidnapping, but his lawyer argued for a lesser sentence, citing emotional distress. The thought of him getting away with a slap on the wrist was unbearable. But Emily's agency, worried about the public's perception, urged for a settlement. Reluctantly, I agreed, but on one condition. Michael would have no rights to Emily, legally or financially. The settlement was a hollow victory. Michael was free, but his reputation was in tatters. The story of his greed and callousness spread, and he lost his job. Shunned by friends and colleagues, he became a pariah. As for Emily, her bravery and resilience only endeared her more to her fans. Her career continued to soar, and through it all, she remained grounded, her sweet smile a constant reminder of the strength and love that had carried us through the darkest of times.